Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Suzanne, and today I would like to talk about the root cause of misunderstanding. Why? Because 90% of conflicts are caused by misunderstanding, and 65% of them result in divorce. This is mind blowing. But, I just didn't, wake up and decided to talk about this. I was actually reading about the soul wounds. And those soul wounds, I usually tell you that they start in infancy. When I see my patients and I see the interactions between siblings, between children and parents, I can quickly detect what type of soul wound is at play. And the 5 soul wounds are betrayal, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, and injustice. So unconsciously, we picked up those soul wounds as little children, and we are growing up with that. And sometimes we enter into relationship without being healed, and that causes even more issues in the relationship. So I was just quietly reading about, the soul wounds, and the Lord began to poke me. And I was like, okay, Father, why do people go through soul wounds? And he basically was explaining to me that is a problem of compatibility of souls, because the reason why your soul is being wounded by another soul, by another person, is because there is misunderstanding. You are not fitting. Your piece of puzzle. If you see yourself as a piece of puzzle, you are not fitting in the puzzle they are trying to build, or they are not fitting in your puzzle. That's the reason why there is misunderstanding. And really what we need to do is to just move on and understand that this person is not supposed to be part of my destiny. I was going through that. And of course, I went deeper because I asked the Lord, okay, what is misunderstanding actually? What does that mean? And he took me to the 7 spirits of the Lord. And you have to remember, number 1, the fear of the Lord, the reverence of the Lord, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, counsel, and might. Then the Lord took me to Proverbs 24, verse 2 to 4, which I'm going to read, okay, because I have my Bible here. I'm doing my little Bible study. So it says, through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Okay, so this is where he sent me. But before getting to, verse 3 and 4, I had to read verse 1 and 2. And verse 1 says, be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. For their hearts study destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. I was like, Father, why do you put together things that are so different? It doesn't make sense. It's not flowing. Then he said, no, it's actually flowing. You must go read James chapter 3 from verse 13 to 18. I went and I read. So that's when I decided that I need to share what I've learned. So I'm going to give you 10 potential reasons why misunderstanding creeps in the couple, and why it could cause a divorce, right? But I'll give you the secret. Just listen. Let's go. We understand through Proverbs 24, verses 3 to 4, that the secret to a strong house that is established is understanding. And that understanding, through knowledge, is going to lead to wealth and riches. Okay? There's one psalm that talks about wealth and riches shall be in your house. But the key here is wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is the foundation of all things. Wisdom, in certain parts of the Bible, it says is the fear of the Lord. But then, if you read the book of James, it tells you about two types of wisdom. And those two types of wisdom are very clearly defined. The first one is the earthly, sensual, and devilish, that is rooted in bitter envying and strife. There are two types of wisdom. There is that wisdom that comes from evil men, which is earthly, sensual, and devilish. And what is it rooted in? It's rooted in bitter envying and strife. That's the root cause of misunderstanding, strife, bitterness, resentment. And what does that cause? It's going to cause an atmosphere of bad decision. You're going to go into projects you're not even supposed to go into. It's going to cause you to make mistakes in your money management, and it will definitely lead to lack. And when there's lack, there's going to be financial stress because you don't understand what's happening. Then you're going to get into more debts. You're going to get into overspending. You may have loss of income, and then boom, poverty is going to creep in. It's because the wisdom that was applied was a devilish wisdom that caused misunderstanding, and that caused your knowledge to be polluted. And because your knowledge was polluted, instead of bringing wealth and financial stability, it brought lack and bad financial decisions. Now, in contrast, when you have heavenly wisdom, as described in the same chapter of the book of James, it says that it is pure, it is peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, sincere and impartial. So this type of wisdom, the heavenly type of wisdom, is rooted in unconditional love. Unconditional love is rooted in kindness. The kindness that looks at the soul of the person, looking for the gifts of the Spirit. So instead of attacking the other person's soul to bring the rejection, abandonment, humiliation, injustice, treason, betrayal, because of the way you talk to the person, you bring a different kind of language. You talk to them with kindness, with goodness. And what will that do? It's going to promote harmony. Because you're not going to be quick to fight or impose your views. You give time to the other person to make their own decisions. You understand? You bring peace to the table. And when there is peace, peace is the soil for very good fruits. Because when you are peaceful, you make the right decisions. When you are peaceful, you can actually hear from the Lord and receive divine directions. When you are peaceful, the Spirit of God, remember, the peace that surpasses all understanding, it comes from Jesus, the King, the Prince of Peace. Okay, so when you are in a peaceful environment, the fruits of the Spirit will be blossoming whether you like it or not. So, misunderstanding, the leading cause of misunderstanding is earthly, devilish wisdom. So when you are unequally yoked, with someone that is envious, someone that loves strife, someone that loves quarrels, someone that is always arguing, always being negative, bitter, telling you negative stuff, taking you down, just belittling you, you have to know that that person is not equally yoked with you. That's another way to figure that out. So, what are the 10 behavior that will lead to misunderstanding? Number 1, a person that is controlling, wants to control every single movement you're having, wants to control how you're spending every penny, wants to control what you're purchasing. You're not supposed to buy this, you're supposed to buy this model. It's micromanagement. Number 1. Number 2, resentment. In couples where communication is not fluid, resentment can install itself very quickly. And you can see that if one of the partner is an avoidant, you're trying to come up with something you have to tell them, and they avoid, they don't want to answer, or they're always tired, or this and that, you just irritate them. Resentment is going to build in. Bitterness because they hurt your feelings, because they are poking at your soul wounds. Maybe you feel humiliated, maybe you feel that something is not fair, maybe you feel rejected, because you've been asking your wife every night for something and she's always oh Lord, that's okay. Look, that's not funny. But I'm just telling you where all this is coming from, okay? Pay attention. It didn't start like that, oh. It started with you guys were liking each other, just being, and then life crept in. Pay attention, okay? Number 4 is unforgiveness. When you feel that you cannot forgive your husband because he had an affair, or because he did something, or a guy, he wouldn't forgive his wife because she slept with another guy. This one is going to bring misunderstanding and the breaking of your marriage. Number 5, envy. When your partner begins to envy you or is jealous of you, that partner is from the devil. No matter what you want to do or say, I'm telling you, you are unequally yoked, because you can only express what is inside of you. That seed of the devil is going to find expression through envy and jealousy. Number 6 is pride and a big ego. There are some men that have huge ego. They want submission at all cost. And because you must be a submissive wife, you must listen to what they're saying. You must do this, you must do that, and keep quiet. Meanwhile, he's making blind decision, and you yourself, you've seen that you are going to crash. But this big ego can also lead to misunderstanding and divorce. Number 7, not being flexible. Maybe you have this idea and then your spouse tells you, what if we do this that way? But no, you don't want to listen. It's your way or the highway. Okay? Number 8, lack of financial education. A lot of people can be intellectually advanced, but they lack financial education. They don't know how money works. They don't know how to save, how to invest, even how to spend. Because you could be spending for things that have no value, and you lose money that don't have, anyway. Lack of financial education. Number 9, futile spending habits. Okay, so if, for example, and that applies to men and women, but we see that a lot more in women. If you are a woman who doesn't know how to raise money, who doesn't understand what you can do. God has given you gifts in your hands, in your mind, in your womb. You are loaded, but you don't know how to bring it to reality. And all you want is this man who is going to give you a castle, give you, this and that, and you don't want to understand how to manage money. There will be problems. There will be problems. And then number 10, not trusting your spouse's gifts. God has given all of us gifts. It could be in the way we see things. It could be analysis. It could be brainstorming power. It could be the capacity to see the small things that must be changed. Every one of us has a gift. And if we don't acknowledge those gifts and take them into account, with time, our spouse is going to feel not seen, not heard, belittled, not important, and this will definitely lead to misunderstanding and eventually divorce. In 65% of, 65%, this is more than half. So it means that before we get together with someone, there is so much to check, but the real check is in spiritual compatibility. How do you think? What wisdom do you apply in your life? Is it the earthly wisdom, or is it the divine wisdom that comes from above? All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.